Social and emotional learning is a huge topic, and it can be quite intimidating to look at overall because you don't know where to start or what is even included in social emotional learning. So that's why we think it's helpful to look at some of the research frameworks and competencies. How are the experts defining social emotional learning, and also how are they dividing it up so that we can look at it in more bite-sized and smaller areas. So to do that, we're specifically going to look at two different models here. The first is from CASEL, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. They have a set of 5 competencies, and each one tackles a different set of skills. The first competency is self-awareness. This is the ability to accurately recognize one's own emotions, thoughts, and values, and how they're going to influence your behavior. Closely related is the second competency, which is self-management. That is the ability to regulate your emotions and your behaviors, includes impulse control, stress, self-discipline, self-motivation. Third, we move into the social competencies, the first of which is social awareness, and that is the ability to perceive and empathize with others, to be able to tell what's going on with someone else, particularly those who may have different backgrounds or different cultures. It's also a recognition of norms. Next, we move on to the fourth competency, which are relationship skills, the ability to establish and maintain healthy and rewarding, aka positive, relationships with a variety of people in different circumstances. Finally, we have responsible decision-making as the fifth competency. This competency is around making constructive choices about your behavior and your social interactions. There's another model we can use to look at SEL called the Ways of Being model. And this was developed at the University of Minnesota Extension, the same group who developed the SEL toolkit we're using and that we peer reviewed, and a lot of the other resources in this course. And that was designed with the CASEL framework, but with a specific focus on identity and cultural values in the social and emotional learning process. It's really trying to account for how a youth's sense of self, culture, and beliefs impact their learning process. Think about it as the process by which they form questions such as, who am I? At the center of this model is the ways that I am, which is really the identity and the core of this model. It is used broadly to include the attitudes, beliefs, and values that you may have about yourself in relation to feelings, relationships, and goals. And identity really is at the center, because what you or I believe, or what a youth believes about themselves, the degree to which they feel in control and the attitude that they have about their future is really going to influence the social and emotional learning. I really like this framework because it reminds us to stay situational and understand the big picture. I think when we use only the CASEL framework to focus on one task, we may lose sight of the situation a youth is in, and that may lead us to waste an opportunity to have an impact and really help their social and emotional development by considering their situation and where they are. Next, we have the ways we are aware, which is the second layer of the model and includes awareness of self, others, and goals. And then around that, we have the ways I navigate, which is the outer layer and describes the process of navigating emotions relationships, and actions. It includes things like self-management, self-regulation, relationship skills. So we've looked at the rings, which start internally with ways I am and get more external with ways we navigate. The next aspect is to look at how they divide the skills, which are the 3 sections of the pie. A little bit tough to see in this image. First, your ways of feeling, which include all the skills, experience, and capacity a person uses to identify and make sense of their emotions, analogous to the CASEL groups of self-awareness and self-management competencies. It includes pretty much any interpersonal skill. Next, we have the ways of relating, which really include the skills youth need to understand and navigate their interactions with others and to develop their relationships. So these is close to the social awareness and relationship skill areas of CASEL. And third, we have the ways of doing, which is an integration of the ways of feeling and ways of relating, as well as other skills, and you use that to approach tasks and achieve goals. Includes skills and areas such as grit. You may have heard some of the research or read about the research being done by researchers like Angela Duckworth. So think about those kind of skills when you think about the ways of doing. Hopefully those models give you an understanding of what SEL is. And now Allison's going to tell us about some of the benefits of SEL.
So these are just some statistics because I think we all have heard the benefits of social emotional learning and self-awareness. There have been a lot of studies done. It is clearly something very important. It's kind of a new buzzword. And they found it statistically significant that when measured, they saw a lot of outcomes in regards to education, employment, criminal activity, substance use, and mental health. So it ranges a wide array of pieces. It's not just saying, okay, these kids understand themselves better, they can identify their emotions, so they're going to do better in terms of their relationships. But it really has shown that it spreads across all areas. So that's why we think it's so important. We're spending 2.5 hours here today talking about it because it really is great for kids, and I personally think it's great for adults, whether that's your staff or yourself or your colleagues, because I don't know about you all, but when I was a kid, there wasn't a lot of this talked about in schools or in after-school programs, right? I think the after-school programs have been on it a lot more than we'll say the general public, right? We've always thought about how can we support our kids in gaining what some people call soft skills or these different skills. But it's really becoming something that there's more research behind and more resources for